Most people think of isolation as an emotional problem, and it is, but it's also a physical one. My name is Jessica, and if you're new here to this channel, I teach on faith-based healing through the lens of neuroplasticity and what Scripture actually says about how we were designed to function and how we were designed to heal. I am a certified health and wellness coach, and I have walked through my own healing journey, my own road of learning what it looks like when you try to do life without real connection. I've been in ministry for most of my adult life, and I've also been in physical pain for most of my adult life. I don't know if there's a connection there, but I'm starting to see that there can be, because what I'm learning is that real relational stress can cause real physical pain. Now, that's not exactly what this video is about. We're going to be talking about isolation again today a little bit more in depth, but here's what I see over and over again. I really want to hammer this home. People think that if they can just get the right relationship, maybe they want to be in the right friend group, or they want to be in the right marriage or the right mentor, then they think that everything's going to fall into place. But if Jesus is not the foundation of your life, every single relationship that you add is going to feel heavier. It's going to be harder. It's not lighter, I promise you, because relationships are hard. They take work. They require emotional maturity, being vulnerable, being honest, and making sacrifices. That's what relationships are about, and they're not easy. But they're worth it when they're done right and when they're done with the Lord. And if you don't have that kind of relationship that actually sustains you, you're going to keep looking for people to fill something that they were never actually designed to fill. And I hate to tell you this, but that's not what connection is. That's pressure, and it starts to break things. So before we talk about the science of isolation, I want to be clear that I really am strongly believing that community matters, but it only works when God is at the center, the way He's supposed to be. Because when someone is consistently disconnected from meaningful human interaction, the brain responds, and it doesn't respond in a positive way. It responds in a very negative way. A lot of people don't realize that cortisol rises, your inflammation starts to increase in your whole entire body, and the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain responsible for making decisions, impulse control, and spiritual engagement, all of that starts to function less effectively. Now, the gut-brain axis, I want to talk about that for a minute. Look it up, gut-brain axis, AXIS. I always say axis, but I mean axis. It is directly influenced by stress. Now, in my healing journey, I learned that through some lab testing that I had severe leaky gut syndrome. You can also look that up. I had what's gut permeability, where, the intestinal lining was loose, and that can come from stress, again. So the gut-brain axis is very important, and it plays a role in this relational stress issue. Now, when you're dealing with isolation and relational stress, sleep suffers, and the immune system actually begins to get weaker and weaker, right? You wonder why people are sick and they're dealing with things. A lot of it has to do with relational stress. Even the introverts, every single person, like all of us, need meaningful connection. The issue is not how much socializing that you do, because you can be a completely social person yet feel completely isolated and alone. It's whether you have real relationships where you are seen, where you're known, and where you feel safe enough to be honest. Now, in the emotionally healthy spirituality framework, and it's a big word, it's a lot to say, it's a mouthful, but I highly encourage you to check it out. Pete Scazzero teaches that you cannot be spiritually mature without being emotionally mature. And I talk a lot about this course because it's been very helpful for me in my own healing journey. And emotional maturity requires relationship. It requires the kind of community where you can actually say to somebody, I'm not okay. And somebody can say back to you, I know you're not okay, and I'm here for you. Now, if that hits home for you, I want to encourage you to check out our nonprofit, Fight for Our Health. It's running the Emotionally Healthy Relationships course. That's this book right here. And it is built for exactly this, learning how to do relationships well with emotional honesty and Christ at the center. You can apply for that through our website. I will drop the link below. And just think about that, because it's, a lot of people I know, they can't get out. They maybe can't get to church. They can't do things. They can't get out of their home. They're maybe homebound. This is a great way for you to get connected through Zoom. If you've been pulling away from community, if community feels like it's a really hard thing for you and you just don't want to go to church, or you don't want to be involved with people, and maybe you've convinced yourself that you're fine being alone. I've heard a lot of people say, I'm fine being alone. I don't need to go. Pay attention to that. Your brain is telling you something. And God already told you the answer. The Bible tells us it is not good for man to be alone. It's literally why He made Eve, okay? But the Bible also teaches us that we go to God for forgiveness, but we go to His people for healing. And I know that it can feel hard to trust, especially if you've been hurt in your life. I've been hurt, and I'm sure that maybe you've been hurt. And so when you've been hurt, it's hard to trust sometimes. But, we can trust, and we can trust that when we put God at the first of our life and make him our priority, that we can trust that he's going to lead us to the right people to find that healing that we need. So I want you to reflect today on a scale of 1 to 10, how connected do you feel to people right now? I'm not talking about followers, because you could have 1 million followers and not be connected. I'm talking about people who really know you. I want to encourage you today to reach out to one person today, not a group text, not a comment on a post, a direct, intentional connection. Call them. Maybe give them a voice message or sit down face to face. Maybe go have coffee or a meal with them. I love doing that. It's so fun. Meet with somebody. Just know that healing does not happen in isolation. It happens in community. God bless.